Good evening, everybody. Welcome along then to Imola in not so nice conditions then for round 5 of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And after a dominant display by Leclerc going from 17th to 1st in the previous round in Monza, can they replicate it? The only Red Bull, of course, on the track. Wild Dog not able to attend the race. Has an AlphaTauri. That's not an AlphaTauri, that's a Haas car. Out first then. Dixon once again reserving. And they make their way out onto the track. Oh, Kevin, you're in a very fluttering mood today. Hello. Good evening. Doesn't really feel like an evening at the moment. Dixon then out on track. Yeah, not the worst conditions in the world, these intermediate conditions. But certainly will be difficult around this track, of course. Well, you do need a good bit of downforce to get through half these corners. A couple of tricky corners here, including the approaching Acqua Minerale. Clock's going back, messes with your head, it does. I am not used to it, but lovely to see you as always. I'm assuming you're racing later. I don't reckon I'll survive more than 2 laps in Canada. So we'll see. But that's for another time, of course. So Dixon will be out first. Car's already coming out onto the track nice and early, which is great to see. However, with 15 cars out on track, the only thing people really need to do is just set a lap time. And it'll be good to go here. So, don't expect any dramas unless someone makes a huge mistake and crashes, which is pretty straightforward to do around this in these conditions. Dixon makes their way through Variante Tamburello. Yeah, I completely agree. I'm glad it's in wet weather though, rather than dry weather. I'd much prefer it if it was dry conditions. I had no chance, but wet conditions are much better. And yeah, I agree. Much nicer track to drive in the rain, but definitely huge steps of oversteer you can find through that, which is unlike what Dixon's finding at the moment. Going very nicely at the moment. Red Bull stopped on track, and I think it's just to let cars get out of the way. Or no, it hasn't. Leclerc's had a spin. The Acqua Minerale. Mentioned it was a difficult corner to brake on because you're going downhill. Dixon then over the curbs quite nicely. That tends to be a thing with Dixon. Whether it's their car setup or just natural feel, they can go over curbs very nicely indeed. Emilios retires. Again, that's not really going to matter too much because there's only 15 drivers. But just getting lap times right. There's the first one, 1:25.1 for Dixon. And Leclerc immediately back into the pits. I wonder if they've got front wing damage. Here's then the reserve Mercedes substitute for Moody. This is Torres. Wild Dog no show again. Wild Dog after getting their first podium for Red Bull after a pretty chaotic season so far. Jackson's gone quickest. Haven't mentioned the AlphaTauri driver, but of course they will be exceptionally quick. iLinks Beast the slowest time at the moment. Torres splits Jackson and Dixon apart with a 1:25.0. Red Bull are in the mud. Sadistic King then. As we have yellow flags for an Alfa Romeo just slowing there. I think that might be iLink's piece again. So just getting out of the way there. Swinney now has the slowest of the times at the moment. Again in this Q1 session, it's not about getting the fastest lap. As long as you don't crash the car and DNF, it is fine. You see that the AlphaTauri just make a bit of a moment there. That might have been Scouser actually. It was indeed. Scouser goes 5th fastest before Joffrey. Sorry, who was that? Someone overtook him very quickly. with one of the Haas cars, I think. And it was Dixon going quicker. Warrior then. Nicely at the moment. Warrior Huntsman is back in the pits as well. Leclerc has retired. Again, as I mentioned, doesn't mean anything there as Jackson goes even faster. 1:23.9 now we're into. Full second clear of Dixon. Like I mentioned, if drivers retire here in the pits, that's fine. If they crash out, that's even more problematic. Leclerc, of course, didn't bother them too much last time around. Torres retiring as well. Mentioned Leclerc didn't mind too much starting the back of the grid. They came through to win the race. Warrior invalidates. Took a bit too much curb there through the Variante Alto. Or Alta, sorry. Here is Kidd for McLaren. So used to seeing him now in the McLaren, actually. Making their way down then into Ravazza. The final two corners. Neat and tidy at the moment. See, they're not massively attacking the corners yet, just understanding the conditions. Kidd goes second fastest. Still half a second back behind Jackson. Warrior coming back out onto the track then. Is about to... That's Ashman then. About to start their fastest lap for Williams. I believe the only Williams actually in this session. So who are we missing then? Got both AlphaTauris, both McLarens. Missing an Aston Martin. We are missing one of the Haas cars. Haas have been almost a no-show this season, it must be said. Warrior takes that curve a little bit better. I think Warrior's the only Alpine we've got as well. Of course, we're missing Wild Dog, one of the two Red Bulls. We haven't actually got the official standings as well, so I don't know what the gap is between Red Bull and Mercedes at the moment. Been a bit of a delay with them. Warrior then crosses the line to go third fastest. Maybe Bowie still in the pits. Like I mentioned, doesn't really need to settle up. They're going through anyways. As that was Scouser, I think, who's just improved. Let's go third fastest. AlphaTauri looking good at the moment. Ashman goes up to 11th place. As we watch then Warrior Huntsman. And appreciate that for sorting out the standings. I'll have a look for that. As that is Scouser. I think having in a moment then. Might have had a spin on the exit of Tamburello. So we'll get the standings as soon as possible. With that, we'll see where we are. I think it's safe to say Leclerc leading by a very comfortable margin. I don't think that's really any doubt. Through then, Aqua Minerale. They are taking these corners quite nicely, actually. No signs of wheel spin or massive steps of wheel spin. Let's see how they go. You can see that they're not attacking the orange curbs, and quite wise not to. Through Ravazza comes the Alfa Romeo. Everyone seems scared of the orange curbs. I've noticed that. I found them very difficult in terms of handling. Huntsman slowest time at the moment. I have found, I've found the curbs very. They seem to really unsettle the car at all. So I just can't go through them without the car. I can't just because I lose the car. So I don't know if others have that same feeling. Maybe it's a difference between pad and wheel. I don't know. But, yeah, I struggle with them. Joffrey's scared of them. Especially at the end of Sector 2. Yeah, we did see that. There's a lot of time to be gained by cutting that chicane there. I suppose it depends on how what the setup is of the car. If they're built with better suspension to go over those curbs, I suppose. I suppose it's a matter of how well you focus on there. You can see their Warrior Huntsman went through the orange curb there nicely, but I wasn't sure if they were attacking the curb there or not. Haven't seen the improvements. On Sector 1's a terrified. Yeah, the little orange curves are not so nice. Sadistic doesn't think they're going to be finishing the race, period. Could be the case, as Huntsman finds 7 tenths on this lap to go into the top 10. All the drivers should be through. Still haven't seen JB Bowie yet in the Ferrari. But doesn't really need to. We've got most of the drivers retiring. Still need the 2 Alfa Romeos out on track at the moment. Ilinx Peace finding half a second then in the middle sector. Up goes ahead of their teammate then. At this point, there's not really much drivers will benefit from being here, but we'll see. Bowie's too busy with the cat. I didn't notice he did. I didn't know he did have a cat. Fair play to him. And as I say that, I think that's Bowie coming out of the pits. So Bowie now finally does make an appearance. Have you not seen his TikToks? I don't have TikTok, would you believe it? So no, I have not seen him. The random cat turned up at his. We had that before. We had it when I was little. We had a random cat that just turned up. We just decided to feed it and always half adopt it. Yeah, that's what cats do. Cats will just go anywhere where there's food and attention. Joffrey can't get enough of the random cat. We'll quiz JB Bowie on this another time. I think. Well, after this race, we'll quiz JB Bowie on his this random cat turning up. Whether or not he does, Ilinx Peace is retiring, so it's only just JB Bowie actually out on track at the moment. Just a sign I need to get TikTok as well. I mean, I probably still won't, but right, we'll move away from cats and let's talk about Bowie's lap here. He had a slight wobble on the exit of the second rev upset, final corner. As they head through Tamburello, you can see they're quite cautious through there, not attacking them aggressively. Now then through the Variante Villeneuve. If that will go on his TikTok if he goes top. It's a good lap, we'll say. The 23.9 to be at the moment by Jackson. So far, Bowie very cautious, but just needs to get a lap. Well, just going for a lap rather than a full-on attack. They'll save that, of course, for Q2 and Q3. And I'm not 100% sure if we've got a wet race or a dry race as well. I can actually check, actually. As Bowie goes through quite cautiously on the Variante Alta. Whereas the weather forecast? It is a wet race as well, so I wonder if drivers will benefit from Wonder if by pushing on those tyres as Bowie goes, well, gets the time on the board. But I'm wondering if drivers who've done too many laps on might regret that later on. By taking laps out of the intermediate tyres they might need. So that's so Bowie then, I presume will come into the pits then, and at the end of this Q1 session, we'll have the 15 drivers going through to Q2, not much really to gain. As Bowie is going on another lap, and judging by the fact they lost the rear on the exit of Tosa, probably not, or they won't improve, we'll see what their middle sector is like. And again, another one as R28 joins the session. Thankfully, the glitch is gone. Bowie's just found a second then, so I take it back then. Bowie is on a much better lap. See where they'll go. Across the line then, Kidd rejoins as Bowie moves up into 10th place. Maybe just trying to test the limits of this track in these conditions. But not much really to find then. So Jackson fastest time then. TL Patera is looking good. Haven't seen really Leclerc's pace in at all. Neither has Melio's. They're two. Haven't set a lap time yet. So as we wait for the final 40 seconds, most drivers have retired. It's like eventually just Bowie on track. Scouser also yet to. And Bowie, I imagine, will go for another lap, it seems, see if they improve. And they do indeed. This time goes 6th fastest, so might see another lap again. And I think Bells has just DM'd me. It says unknown PNG. There's the standings. Thank you very much for that. And it's Leclerc then, with a 26-point lead in the championship. Bowie retired on track, which is fine. I assume it will be fine. But it's actually R28, because they didn't actually compete at all. They go out. So we did actually lose a drive at the end of Q1. But Jackson then quickest by almost half a second from Kidd. Scouser as well. In P3. Yet to see Melios and Leclerc's times. And a penalty. Yeah, would that technically be... Are we going to penalise JB Bowie for that? Sadistic King, we had a message with Sadistic King, because Zamidi, of course, retired on track in Monza. It wasn't pointed out, and of course, you might have seen he's got a Q1 ban. As Jack Bowie enters the chat. Will anybody report JB Bowie for retirement on track? We'll let others decide that. Either way, let's head into Q2 then. Let's see where we are. This time we will lose drivers. We did lose one in Q1 technically. But we need another 5 drivers to go out as well. We can actually now ask JB Bowie on this random cat that appears to be going into his house. We need a story on that. Maybe not now, but for another time. You've got a qualifying session to do, but that's a story we can talk about some other time. Out comes then a Alpha Tauri of Jackson. Out onto track they go. As the AlphaTauri makes their way along. I think Bowser sent me the Constructors' Championship as well, which is super. And Red Bull, actually, yeah, Mercedes, I apologise. I thought it was Red Bull versus Mercedes. Mercedes is 6th in the Constructors' standings. So, not a great year for them. But it's actually Red Bull and AlphaTauri. 1 and 2 at the moment. Red Bull, after their brilliant performance actually in Monza, they've moved to take the lead of the Constructors' Championship. Ahead of AlphaTauri. 24 points then between the two. And Ferrari losing the Constructors' Championship because they had a horrific race in Monza. Looked good until the race happened. It was carnage for both Swinney and Bowie. Bow's a very happy team boss then. In second at the moment. And Jackson looking very strong at the moment. And let's see what their first flying lap was. They were quickest in Q1. See what they can produce then for Q2 as they power their way down back straight. We won't see DRS there, and I wonder how difficult it will be for overtaking without the use of that DRS. We'll see. As Jackson powers through Tamburello. Cars look almost planted at the moment, it seems. I've seen only a couple of oversteers at the moment, but they've all set their cars up very nicely, it seems. Jackson with the Terrorizer helmet as well. That was, I believe, a DLC before. Running through Caratella very nicely. Now Minarelli. You can tell Italian is not a language I'm fluent in. I should probably get the lap time delta as well. That would help. See, Jackson didn't take as much of the orange curve as Dixon did. We had that conversation, of course, in Q1 if you missed it. You can gain so much time through that. How much of a difference will it make? We'll see. Through Ravazza we go. And now a short dash to the line. 6 to the right hand side. And a 1:24.1 now. I believe that was slightly slower than their Q1 time. That's interesting. Dixon then crosses the line. Almost a full second behind. Joffrey then. Next one to cross the line in the Aston Martin. Didn't have an amazing weekend last week. Goes second fastest before Kidd. Goes then into the 1:23s we go. Scouser then will be next. Goes 4th fastest. Dixon struggling then. Iron Piece about to start there. Next flying lap, as is someone else, I think. That might have been one of the Ferraris, actually. No, it wasn't. Apologies. It was not. JB Bowie then. They were the latest on track in Q1. They're the earliest now in Q2. They've got a Mercedes behind them. That will, of course, be Torres. He's been doing very well in that Mercedes at the moment. JB Bowie, slowest time at the moment. Torres goes quickest by 3/1000ths of a second. So it is getting close between them. Swinney then next up then. In the sister Ferrari. Goes 4th fastest. Good lap there from Swinney. As Bajman, I think, just lost the rear end. We just caught them at the worst time for them. And Bajman then. Might not be the best lap. Got a yellow flag for one of the McLarens. That will, of course, be Kidd. It's just letting drivers through. Haven't seen the championship leader out just yet. Nor have we seen the Mercedes of Sadistic. We have seen at least Sadistic likes to leave it late, which has been both a blessing and a curse. Ashman then. Are they going for this is their flying lap or not? Either way, let's see what the Williams will do. Like I mentioned, the only Williams out on track. That's the slowest time of a 1:28.7. think they did slightly back off. Huntsman back out then. Or was coming out onto the track. JB Bowie now moves into 5th place. Jackson retiring from the session. They're happy in 3rd. Link's piece then. Improving by 2 tenths in the 1st sector. Alfa Romeo's got a good chance of scoring points, I think. Good opportunity for them, but that's almost very wide. Well, that was very wide through Acqua Minerale. That will have not only lost time, but you saw the car shaking there as well. Link's piece turning their car into a 2022 version of the bouncing. And lost time through the middle sector as well. You saw them 13 thousandths down. Kidd goes quickest again. We're now into the mid 123s. We'll keep an eye on that. Like I mentioned, it's not about going quickest in this session. It's just about doing enough to get into the bottom. Lost my train of thought then. To get out of the bottom 5. Dixon going for another lap. Currently 8th fastest at the moment. We haven't really seen the Haas cars much anyways, let alone in Q3 anyways. Dixon's found 6 tenths in the middle sector. So this is a much better run than for Dixon. As long as they can keep it neat and tidy for the final sector. I think someone might have come a cropper. That is the Williams, and they haven't. They've just slowed down. Letting the cars go through. As Dixon moves up to 5th fastest then. Splits the 2 Ferraris apart. Here is Warrior Huntsman. In the other Alfa Romeo, their teammate just in the drop zone at the moment. Thinks he's an unbelievable driver. We've got a fan. We'll see if they can make it out of Q2 or whether their teammate here will take them out of Q2. 125.9 then to beat then for Huntsman. And Warrior Huntsman doesn't do that. It's a 126.4. Half a second down from their teammate. Warrior then next one and goes 8th fastest. That knocks the 2 Alphas then into the bottom 5. Still yet to see Leclerc or Sadistic, or actually Melios for that matter. Wonder what they are waiting for. Warrior might be going for back-to-backs. I think most drivers are in the pits now. So Huntsman will have to go again. Don't think he's going to push that for the time being. It does seem to have calmed down now. JB Bowie again losing the rear. That's the second time we've seen through Piratella. Sorry, that's not Piratella, that's Tosa. A hairpin that Bowie's struggled with rear traction on the exit of that corner, so goes wide as well. That's not going to find them any lap time at the moment. So currently the 5 in the drop zone, the 2 Alphas of Link's Peace and Warrior Huntsman, along with Melios, Leclerc and Sadistic, who have not yet set a lap time. JB Bowie then, like going off in Acqua Minerale. Can they find any more lap time here? Across the line, they do improve by about a tenth. They remain in 7th place. Despite the fact they went off through Acqua Minerale, they did find lap time, which is good. We're seeing here from JB Bowie, you can see they've done 5 laps at the moment. So they're definitely fueled to do more and more laps then. which is always an interesting one. We also mentioned Warrior as well, and I missed that. Warrior went third fastest as well. That's a good effort from them, although Warrior's tyres show us not doing any laps at the moment, which is either really good tyre management or a glitch in the game. Dixon's aiming for 1 minute 23 in the Haas. Currently 6 tenths away from doing that. Which can be done in these conditions, if you can find the grip to do so. Most drivers now are back in. We've got 3.5 minutes to go. As Dixon back out on track. Maybe not feeling that 1:24.5 is safe to get through. Of course, we've got a CLC, McLaren, a Mercedes and a Red Bull to do their laps. So that would put Dixon probably in the danger zone if they did do perfect laps, given the pace of their cars against the Haas. But nothing actually from those. We've got Sadistic finally making their way out on track. No sign of Leclerc again. Mario Huntsman back out as well as iLink's Peace, starting a lap as well. But no sign of Leclerc or Melios at the moment. And we have seen this recently, especially with Leclerc. The last few qualifying sessions, they've not really done any, well, they've not really qualified. Is that how confident Leclerc thinks they can get through the field and claim the win? Of course, they'd feel confident after Monza, going from 17th to 1st. You do wonder if that's a little bit overconfident from Leclerc. There's all the makings of going wrong, but Leclerc knows what they're doing. Very quick racing driver, as we've seen. And with 1 minute 50 seconds to go, both Leclerc and also Melios will be gone. Sadistic, of course, on a flying lap at the moment. I don't think, if I'm mistaken, as Alex Feast found half a second in middle sector, so this is a good run here for them. We just go back on the outcomes for a minute. I should know this. I'm one of the stewards. Yeah, Melios doesn't actually have any kind of cube qualifying ban or anything, so I'm not quite sure. Okay, don't worry, it's not overconfidence, just feel more overconfident starting from the back in wet conditions. That's fair enough. That's actually, I can understand that. Alex Peace then into the top 10. That's a fair enough. That's a fair enough argument for that. So fingers crossed then, but that will mean Leclerc will start 14th then, assuming Sadistic does get a lap in, but that's fair enough. And Melius has a full quali ban. Okay. You'd think as a steward I'd remember that, but does Melius have a qualifying ban? That's really bad that I don't know that. Okay. Oh, yes, he does. Yes. I remember now. Thank you, Leclerc. Much appreciated. Leclerc, do you want to swap? You can do my stewarding role for me and I'll just do nothing. So yeah, that's why Melios can't actually go for a run then. As Leclerc is out. Someone's had a spin though. That is JB Bowie going off the track there. Lucky for them, they are not out. As Sadistic King only 9th fastest. That is Scouser, who's had a spin through Aqua Minerelli and at 10th place at the moment. That's not safe. Ilix Peace is not on a flying lap. They're probably gone. Warrior Huntsman doesn't improve. They're gone as well. Bashman is finding time here. And is it going to be enough? It isn't. Stays 12th fastest. Ilix Peace pits, as does Scouser is on the grass and won't improve from there. So Ilix Peace, Bashman, Warrior Huntsman, Melius and the championship leader Leclerc out of Q2 then. We'll see what Leclerc can do in the race. So far then, it's the McLaren of Kid then. Going very nicely at the moment, but Torres, Warrior, Jackson and Swinney all closing up as well. Very close between all of them actually. Shooting not Leclerc's thing, understandable. No worries. So, Bowie then does set that lap at the end. Yeah, but is safely through. There's his Scouser as well. About a tenth of a second between them and iLink's Peace. As we head then into Q3. With such a small gap between them all. There is the gap between them. It does seem a lot, but that could close up in Q3. Use my bet on for pole. If I've learned anything so far from this Realistic Racing League, I can never get a good assumption on who will take pole position. At the moment, 4 tenths clear is Kid from Torres. You put your money on them. They've looked very impressive at the moment. But Torres, Jackson, Warrior as well could be an outsider shot, as possibly the 2 Ferraris. I'll go for Kid for pole. I think that's my pick. I'd be too nice to be a steward. Don't want people to hate me. It's fine. As long as you don't tell them you're a steward, then it's fine. You can be as mean as you want to. Leclerc betting Jackson. Looks like he's sandbagging. Possibly could be. Don't think many people have fully attacked this track at the moment. So, we'll see where they all are in this session. Of course, this session mattering more than others. So, let's head into Q3. 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, 2 AlphaTauris, 1 McLaren, 1 Aston Martin, 1 Haas, all battling out, and 1 Alpine, sorry, I forgot Warrior. All battling out then for pole position for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, not the Imola Grand Prix, as some people incorrectly call it. And they're making their way out onto the track. One of the biggest pet peeves is when people call the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix the Imola Grand Prix. Dixon on pole, of course. That doesn't happen often. But, Dixon could be on pole, potentially. Good call, probably, yeah. As Jackson then first out onto the track, gapping actually the rest of the field at the moment. All the drivers making their way out very quickly. JB Bowie a long way back from them, so we'll have a lot of space. I'm starting to think people who slide out the exit of Tosa, I think, are doing it deliberately now. I can never tell. That's another driver I've seen losing the rear of the car. So we'll see how it will all go in this 12-minute session. See there, one of the 2 Mercedes. I think that's Torres actually. Someone's had a spin. That is... Actually, I don't think that's a spin. I think that's just Dixon giving space. Which is fairly sensible given the multitude of traffic they've got. Warrior not coming out just yet. Jackson then starts their first flying lap. Followed by the Mercedes of Torres and then the McLaren of Kidd. All of these to keep an eye on Joffrey as well. As Jackson makes their way through Tamburello. Looked super planted throughout there. See they widen the exit of the variant of Villeneuve. Now through Tosa. Doesn't quite hit the curb. That's probably good in these conditions. as Jackson getting a lot of compliments for his racing number from Leclerc. Through Aqua Minerale we go, very neat and tidy. Did run over the curve there. That might have slightly compromised their exit, but still looks very neat and tidy. And much like Dixon, they do run over the orange curve then. So they can go through there quite nicely. And through Revalza they do go onto the curb. Always a big risk there in Revalza. The curb heightened, you can easily spin actually if the car's not set up properly. Here's the first lap time then. Jackson 1:23.8 then. Let's see if anyone can beat that. Here comes Torres then in the Mercedes. They do beat that by half a second actually. Here comes Kit then. What can they do? Not really on a proper flying, I think. Joffrey then has invalidated, so that's their lap done, although I think they're going to go again. Sadistic's next up then in the second Mercedes. Across the line goes third fastest, but a long way back from their teammate. Scouser goes third fastest then for them. I think JB Bowie's just someone's invalidated, I think. Dixon goes third fastest then. Good lap from them. Here comes JB Bowie then. Across the line goes third fastest. Good lap from them. A huge gap between all of them. And at the moment it's Torres on provisional pole. No way he didn't invalidate in that chicane. I can understand that feeling. But it seems you can run over it pretty nicely if you get it right. Jackson on a good lap. Leclerc Leclerc letting me know and appreciate that. Jackson 3 temps up but decides to abandon their run and pit. That's what I think they're all doing at the moment. It was a good run. Let's see then if Kid is going for another lap. Yes, they are. Let's see what this lap is. Doesn't improve actually by much. So Kid's struggling this Q3 session. Joffrey then goes third fastest. Swinney has invalidated. I think that was Sadistic who's just gone up to third fastest as well. Mercedes 1 and 3 at the moment. I think Warriors backed off from their lap as well. Swinney going once again. So they are fueled to do more runs, it seems. But at the moment, it's Torres in the Mercedes on provisional pole. Reserving, of course, for Moody. This might be the reboot Mercedes needs. Sadistic losing a little bit of time in the first sector. Kid though finding 8 tenths of a second. So this is a much better lap then for Kid, and that's a much better middle sector, 1.6 seconds up. So this is a really good improvement here. Can Kid then get a good enough final sector here? Where they're going to be. Ashman is predicting pole position for the McLaren. Let's see then. Kid then to cross the line. It's not pole position, but it is on the front row. But a good run then at the end. Swinney invalidates for a second time as well. But they're not off to a great run at the moment. So is Warrior. Jackson's back out on track early. Sadistic has retired. So 4th is the best they can do. That's a massive gap though between Sadistic and Torres. 8 tenths of a second between them. And Kid is not going for another push lap. Jackson making their way past the Alpine there. He hasn't really put a representative lap in as well. So Jackson's got just over half a second's find if they want to take provisional pole. See drivers coming out onto the track as well. The Haas of Dixon as well as the Mercedes of Torres currently on provisional pole, back out early. Try and get some more laps in. But Jackson the earliest of the lot at the moment. And let's see where they'll go. That lap from the Merc is impressive now that everyone set some laps. It is, yeah, and Torres has looked strong as well. So, definitely well hooked up. Let's see, though, if Jackson can beat. That's the Ferrari in the background of JB Bowie. Exits out. Warriors back on another lap as well. There's through comes the AlphaTauri. It's a back-to-back home Grand Prix for them, of course, as is Ferrari. And Ferrari, of course, will be hoping for a better run than Monza. Jackson up by over a tenth in the first sector. So finding some good pace at the moment. And now through Acqua Minerale, there you go. After exiting Piratella. Neat and tidy through there. That's probably, I was about to say that was the most planted car I've seen until they lost the rear end. But look at that, half a second middle sector. And if this is a much better final sector here. Oh, until that moment they lost it on the exit of Variante Alta. That will have lost time down on the approach to Reversa. Mistake there by the AlphaTauri. Can they make it back in the final sector, or these final corners then? Jackson then to cross the line. Where will it be? It is only second fastest, and I wonder if that little wobble at the exit of the Variante Alta took valuable time from them. I dread to believe, yes it will. Warrior goes fifth fastest. Dixon then will be, I think, next up then in terms of those on the hot lap. Leclerc seems very disappointed, of course. Jackson, of course, part of the Red Bull Academy. And Leclerc would very much like to have that Mercedes behind the AlphaTauri, of course. Dixon, though, has found another 10th and a bit. As things stand, I don't think Dixon is on course for a pole position. Leclerc is noting that Jackson is improving again. We'll go back to the AlphaTauri in a moment. Let's watch Dixon then. Torres is invalidated. Really appreciate Leclerc's helping with this as well. This is really useful info. Dixon up to 6th place. As you mentioned, Torres invalidates then. Didn't see what Jackson's improvement was in the middle sector. But Leclerc, I trust them. They say they're improving. They need a 10th and a half to take provisional pole from Torres. And with time running out as well. And again, they lose traction slightly out the exit of the second Reversa. But Jackson, that's still enough. So provisional pole then by 3/100ths of a second. And can Torres go for one more lap then? They might just have enough time to get another lap in. Keep an eye on them, of course. Joffrey then improves slightly but remains sixth fastest. The Ferraris are really in a pickle at the moment, it must be said. As Jackson is still going quicker. You see that Jackson... Oh, no, they're not. Apologies. But Kidd losing 2/10 in the first. He was on a good lap here. Joffrey. Are they... They got Scouse has found half a second in the middle sector. The slowest time at the moment. But we are getting close to the danger zone. Once again, another poor exit out of the Variante Alto. Kidd retires in 4th place. And I think that's a crash. Jackson's got a 5th place grid penalty for a collision with Kidd. Now, what on earth happens? Now, I'm not 100% sure what happened between there, but Jackson, who's on provisional pole, will not start on pole. So 6th fastest for them. So that's ruined their lap time. Torres will look very pretty. Swinny's gone 3rd fast as well at the end as well. But we're getting... The checkered flag is coming out. The AlphaTauri on provisional pole for the moment, but won't stay there due to that 5th place grid drop. As Joffrey takes that Aston Martin through the final corner to go 8th fastest for them. JB Bowie then next across the line goes up to 5th fastest. Another good lap then, but they are out qualified by their teammates, who is invalidated on this run. Warrior invalidates as well. Scouser is still going for another lap, as I think is Dixon as well. Dixon finding another there's half a second through sector 3, but they're not through there yet. But what a shame for Jackson. Not 100% sure what happened between them and Kidd. We saw Kidd retire. We saw Jackson then getting a penalty to go with it. Dixon then to cross the line. Where can they place that Haas at the moment? And crosses the line up to 7 fastest. Good effort from them. But Torres at the moment on course for pole position here. Unless Scouts can find a magical final sector. Cross the line, 8 fastest. That's it then. And Torres anyways goes fastest anyway, so they take it outright. Even with that 5th place grid drop, Torres improved to get a lap. And we didn't see what the lap was. You see there, 1:23.1. Dixon missed out on a 1:23 anyway, so they didn't get the lap they wanted. But Torres on provisional pole. Jackson will start from 7th then on the grid after a 5th place grid drop. We're not 100% sure what happened. We just know there was a big crash. But not 100% sure. But it looks like a bit of confusion then between Jackson and Kidd. But it's Torres on pole then from Jackson. Swinney, Kidd, Bowie and Sadistic will all move up a place, as will Dixon actually. Jackson will start 7th. Scouser in 8th, Warrior in 9th, and then Joffrey in 10th place. And Dixon not happy with their lap. And we'll see what happens then. Definitely Kidd and Jackson not happy with each other. We'll see. We'll see what happens between them. But either way, though, we'll see what will happen with that. It can't do anything about it now. They'll need to go back to their focus. Well, if I can put my words in properly, they'll have to turn their focus onto the race itself. As it looks like someone has started up the strategy. Also, we readied up a little too early. But we'll see what drivers do in terms of changing the setup. Well, whatever they can with that setup. And of course, they have to start on the intermediate tyres. And away we go then. You won't be surprised on what tyres they're all starting on. Oh, look. All intermediate tyres, and we expect that the rain will last for the entirety of the race as well. So in theory, they won't actually have to make any pit stops whatsoever. But it's Torres who leads the way from Swinney. Swinney on the front row for Ferrari. Ferrari's 2nd and 4th at the moment. There's the predicted pit stop strategy, as in there is no pit stop. These tyres can go the whole 32 laps. But will anyone be bold and brave enough to make a pit stop? We'll see. To be fair, new tyres in wet conditions usually aren't great. There was actually a... Who was it? I think there was a... Was it Brazil 2016, where actually, I think it was Max Verstappen who said used tyres are actually better than actually new tyres, because the rubber in the rain actually, it just rubbers in. So it's a lot easier to find grip on worn into tyres than use actually fresh tyres, if that makes any sense to you. Probably doesn't. As you can see, I'm not the most amazing person at explaining it with words. So, but yeah, I shouldn't expect drivers to be making any pit stops, unless of course it's for front wing damage. And looks like there's 18 people in the stream as well. Good to see. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to watch these shenanigans. Definitely join the Discord as well if you haven't. And ignore the Insta link as well. They don't actually have an Instagram. Would you believe it? It's terrible. Imagine not having Instagram in 2021. Dixon expecting the leaders to all bin it and Dixon to win. Possibly. We'll see. Maybe if you throw a couple of five quids in their PayPal account, potentially. Good luck to all 16 drivers then, who are all lined up on the grid. As here we are then. 5 lights here in Imola. And we are underway then. And I think Swinney did react better, but you see then they lost the traction then as Torres leads away then from Swinney. Jackson under pressure then from Kidd at the moment, but Jackson has enough momentum to stay ahead. You see there the Ferrari of JB Bowie dueling away with Sadistic King. Bowie not having the best start out in front, losing positions. Dixon up a position as well. Scouser dueling away there, you can see, with Warrior as well for 8th place as well, but stays ahead as well. Leclerc already up to 13th then. Warrior Huntsman dropping down the field as it stands at the moment. And look at Melius as well. Melius up into the top 10 already, but great start from then. Torres leads then from Swinney. Then comes Jackson as well. Jackson right on the back of the Ferrari. Then comes Kidd, who's followed closely by the Haas of Dixon. JB Bowie, who's lost positions, I think. Yeah, definitely did at the start. Not the best start from them. That is Jackson, though, on the inside of Swinney. That's had a much better exit through the Acqua Minerale. And ahead then before the Variante Alto. And you can see Kidd is under pressure from the Haas of Dixon. Much better exit. You heard earlier Dixon having much better confidence through the Variante Alta by going over the corners. Leclerc up to 12th place then already. Great start from them. They said they prefer being at the back of the grid in wet conditions, and that's exactly how it's working at the moment. But Torres leads then from Jackson by 1.2 seconds. Then comes Swinney. Then comes Kidd. Then comes Dixon as well. Leclerc, I thought that was having a look then on the Williams, but just a little too far back. Of course, no DRS in these conditions as well, so worth mentioning as well. Kidd on the back of Swinney, who I think is struggling for pace in this initial outset. See there, they're all downshifting. Torres good pace at the moment. See Sadistic King under pressurising JB Bowie with Scouser behind him as well. They haven't all ran away just yet, which is good to see. This is Leclerc trying to find a way through the Williams there. You're not going to find a way through Piratella there. But now through Acqua Minerale. Have a better, I was about to say a good exit, but through the Acqua Minerale, Leclerc just loses the back end. A 9 links piece there. Looking as well. Warrior the first then to get a 3-second time penalty. As that is Swinney defending from the McLaren of Kidd behind. Milius has now got ahead of Warrior for ninth place. Yes, it was. But Jackson closing in as well on Torres and setting the fastest lap. That's good to know. Meanwhile, McLaren will size up here as Leclerc moves to 11th place because Warrior is in the pits, presumably with front wing damage. This is Sadistic King still not able to make a move then. Leclerc able to make a move finally now. Down the inside of Tamburello, up into the top 10. Another good solid drive for starting in 15th at the moment for Leclerc. See there, both Ferraris actually under pressure at the moment. Good aerial shot at the moment. Jackson losing time down this on this occasion. Keep an eye on that gap. Kidd then just keeping watch on the Ferrari. Already is 2.5 seconds back from Jackson. I wonder if Swinney is holding them up. I wonder if Dixon's also being held up. You can see that they're really closing in on the McLaren. And Dixon, as no surprise, seems much more confident through the Variante Alto. That's where they're specialised in. Kidd lost the back end as Torres sets the fastest lap. Interesting there. Now is Kidd going to be under pressure? You can see there as Leclerc sets the fastest lap of this race. Dixon holding back there for the time being. You saw them there not using their ARS. This is Melios and Scouser. Scouser going over the orange curbs to stay ahead. And Scouser now under pressure. Melios will have the inside line for the Variante Villeneuve. And as brave as Scouser does try and defend it, they can't do much about it. And now Leclerc takes advantage of that as well and goes ahead of Scouser up to 9th place now for the Red Bull. And this might be where it starts to get a bit more tricky, because now the McLaren of Melios is the next car ahead. Sadistic Dan King Dan, keeping JB Bowie for company. They're all being led by the Ferrari of Swinney at the moment. See Leclerc in the background trying to size up Melios. You can see now Dixon is just sort of holding back, and you can see Swinney slightly slow exit through Ravazza. Now is this his Kid's opportunity? That's a much better exit this time around. Is this the moment that Kid is waiting for then? And I think Swinney trying to defend. They stay onto the right hand side, but I think Kid with the inside line and better momentum. Have they got enough straight line speed and under braking to have a look? And no, the answer is, because Swinney goes back round the outside of Tamburello. And a good exit there, and once again is on the defensive, because you can see their Kid just keeps them at bay as well. Good defensive driving then from the Ferrari, and that's of course Kid's got to be wary of Dixon behind as well. Meanwhile, Torres seems happy out in front, 1.3 seconds. That gap stabilising. They're all out on their own, those two, as Swinney holds this group up. Everyone from 3rd down to 6th. Sadistic King slightly dropped back a little bit as well. Joffrey, you can see there, not an amazing start for them as well, down to 12th. Now behind the Williams of Bajman as well. Hasn't really been a good start for a couple of these drivers. We'll just have a look at where's the positions gained. Why can't I find it? There we go. It's this one, isn't it? And there's the confirmation then. Leclerc and Melios up 6 places. So good start from them. And is Kid able to find a move there? Maybe not, but this might be closer though. This is Leclerc down the inside of Melios. But once again, around the outside they go, but Leclerc's just picked up their first 3-second time penalty. Not ideal for them. That will make their life a little bit more difficult towards the end of the race. Those could be crucial later on. But Leclerc's first 3-second penalty then. I have to hope that the other drivers make similar errors as well. Gap out in front between the top two, extending to now 1.6 seconds. Though Jackson through the middle sector seems quicker. Swinney is really holding them up here. Kid will want to find a way through quickly. Not a great exit through the Variante Alto then for Swinney. There's really no opportunity for Kid to take advantage of it at the moment. This is where they'll wish DRS was available to them, because they cannot find a way through at the moment. Once again, Kid trying to burn out their ERS, but it's not helping them at all at the moment. See, Melios has now caught the back of Sadistic. You can see this train now is everyone from 3rd down to 9th. They're all stuck between one another. You see the exit there of Leclerc as they exit the Tamburello, actually. Much better than those ahead. Once again, another little snap then for Kid. JB Bowie is right on the tail here. And we've got this DRS train forming. Swinney's the meat in the sandwich, and actually Scouser might catch up to them all now. And all this is allowing the top two to get away. Swinney now 6 seconds behind those two. Actually 8.4 seconds behind the leader. But Kid will want to find a way through very quickly. But I don't think they're as close as they were before. Tell you what though, that is Leclerc going down the inside of Melius again. I thought Melius was getting close to Sadistic, and Leclerc tried to find a way through the Ravazza, and Melius goes off the track there. I don't think was shoved off there. I think Melius might have put themselves there as well, and Leclerc gets a very easy position out of that, and up to 8th place then for the Red Bull. And once again, these lot stay as they are, although Kid has started to drop. Oh, that was a snap and a half there by Swinney, and that's cost them positions. And finally Kid and Dixon go through as well. But a save as well, and Swinney goes right into Dixon and collects the Mercedes, I think, as well. Excuse me. Swinney tried to recover the damage and fight their way around the outside of Dixon, but wasn't going to make it through. And now Leclerc ahead of Sadistic, up to 7th place. Has Sadistic got damage on their front wing? Someone definitely got collected, and I think it was the Mercedes. But Swinney then, I think they, like I mentioned, tried to recover the damage, and in doing so, they put themselves even worse there. So I think Swinney should have backed out there. R28 now gets a 5-second time penalty, and there you can see Swinney down to 11th with front wing damage as well, as Joffrey moves ahead into 10th place. This is Scouser and Sadistic. Scouser, I think, is losing pace at the moment. I think they have got damage, because Scouser's moved ahead as well. And these lot are released then to go chasing after Jackson and Torres, but they're 8.5 seconds back. And Leclerc into the pits then. Have they got damage as well? Not sure. Yes, they have. They got caught up in that as well. Shame for Leclerc. Sadistic pits as well. Swinney pits also. So 3 drivers involved in that. So that frees them up a little bit. More disasters then for Ferrari in another Italian race. So all hopes lie then with this driver, JB Bowie. Behind Dixon once again. Dixon back behind McLaren of Kid. Kid now released to go chasing after the top 2, but they're so far away. I tell you what though, in all that, Jackson's now within a second of Torres, as Dixon gets a 3-second time penalty. I haven't mentioned these two. They've kind of been sort of having little jabs, but now Jackson beginning to size up the Mercedes, and now a fastest lap to reinforce that. I tell you what, these two could be fighting for the lead of the race later on, potentially. Meanwhile, this is a much better run for Dixon, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The gap had closed. It hadn't closed enough then. Torres, a 3-second time penalty. The race leader then gets the first 3-second time penalty. If Jackson keeps it flawless with no penalties, that could be costly if these two have similar pace, which is clearly visible. That could be problematic for them. So McLaren came out in 13th place then. Long way back to recover. They might need a safety car for that. Sadistic 15th and Swinney in 16th as well. I stand by what I said. I don't think that's Dixon's fault. I don't know. I need to see it again. I don't know. I personally think Swinney might have wanted to back out from there, but I think he had enough room to go around the outs to have a move as well. So it's kind of like a tale of two ends then. We'll see what, if anything, happens out of that. Jackson a little too far back. As is Dixon once again. You can see Dixon now finally is using their ERS. Whether that's for attack or defence. At the moment. You see all 4 cars then. All within each other. JB Bowie right on the back then of Dixon. But just runs out of DRS straight. As R28 gets another 3-second time penalty. Kidd also gets a 3-second penalty. These penalties are going to start costing drivers if they're not careful. Great forecast scrap between these two. Oh, these 4, sorry. Leclerc now gets the fastest lap on those fresh intermediate tyres. And that is JB Bowie defending from Dixon. And has Dixon found a way through? The answer is no. Might be under pressure from Melios, actually. Dixon opportunistic on the exit of Tosa. Let's have a look on JB Bowie before Piratella. Bowie slammed that door shut. And Jackson looks a lot closer here to the Mercedes than they did before. But I think Torres just got a better exit. And now ERS enabled. Oh well, ERS is being utilised, not enabled. You know what I mean. But once again, they're both using their ERS. And Torres doing enough to keep ahead for this occasion. Sorry, I'm really stupid. Bowie ahead of Dixon. Sorry, I forgot Dixon was behind Bowie. Bowie going round the actually made the pass then. That is Melios trying to go down the inside. It's Tamburello. Goes off the track. And all they run into each other. Better exit though. Is that damage for either of them? And I think Melios gave that position back, quite rightly so, because they went off the track to make that move then. I think rightly so, Melios returning that position. I apologise there. JB Bowie actually passed Dixon as well. It wasn't a defence. It was a move. Bowie up to 4th place then. Could be sizing up podium. A second podium. Podium, of course, after their win in Monaco 2 weekends ago. I feel really bad for missing that. So, apologies to JB Bowie. Right, now is Jackson. I think Jackson once again is a little too far back. So using their ES just to keep up, I think. Not able to make a move just yet. Someone's at a spin. That, I think, is R28. That's off the variant Ultra, and that's brought out the safety car. That changes things. So safety car deployed then. That's Warrior Huntsman. Well, I'd say going slow, but that's because of the Delta, as Scouser makes their way into pits, as does Joffrey. So they are starting to pit. So some drivers pitting now, as I mentioned. Tires can go to the end. Will anyone decide to pit? See there, Torres out as well. R28 pits as well. I think they caused the safety car, of course. So, R28 pits then. I presume, yeah, they did cause the safety car to be brought out, I think. As these two then makes their way through. So that gap, that 14-second gap that these two had from 3rd place now eroded. We'll see if anyone does make a pit stop here. And into the... Oh, as I thought Jackson was going to pit. Jackson stays out. Jackson thought about it. Then decided, no, I'm alright. I will stay out. They did have a fairly good gap, but of course, might have lost time in the end. Kidd, once again, does exactly the same. Dixon does the same as well. They're all bluffing a pit stop. None of them have taken the bait. They're all staying out. That's kind of really expected, to be honest. No real surprise. Bergman stays out. Alex P stays out. Yeah, no one really, I think, is going to take the pit stop here. Although we did see on new tyres Leclerc going quicker, but that might be because of the equipment they're driving. But those gaps will now be eroded. Scouser has come back out in 11th place. We'll see if those fresh tyres will actually be of any benefit. Joffrey new tyres well out in 11th and 12th. So this thing, much like Leclerc and Swinny, will benefit from this safety car. They're all behind the safety car now. Oh, apologies. So on lap 14, Torres leads from Jackson. Then comes Kidd. JB Bowie in 4th, could be eyeing up a podium as well. Kidd will not let that happen, of course. Dixon in 5th. Pace has been pretty even Steven between a lot of them, actually. So, not sure who our repulsor is, but they're clearly very unhappy with iLink's piece, I believe. So, not sure what's happened. We haven't really kept an eye on them. Torres then. How comfortable will they feel? I think their aim, of course, much like Jackson, to break away from the field once again. Hope to build up that gap out in front. The safety car really did. They weren't too happy. They won't be too happy with that. Of course, for the likes of Kidd, JB Bowie, and Dixon, they'll be very happy with it because it brings them closer to the top two. R28 a long way back from the field. You can see them coming through Tamburello now. The rest of the field going through Tosa. They should catch back up to them very quickly. Leclerc, of course, catching back up. Leclerc's got 2 different alts, apparently. I did notice that. Leclerc watching off 2 channels, we respect that. Safety car actually coming in at the end of this lap then, so late call then, but Torres hasn't got a lot of time to back the field up then. Well, that 3-second penalty as well for the Mercedes. Come back to haunt them at the end. Torres then trying to do what they can. Safety car still has come in now. Torres has gone. They didn't have a lot of time here, and is Jackson going to take full advantage here? And I think they are. We are back under racing then, and look at this. Jackson finally is going to find a move then down the inside of the Mercedes. Torres still trying to fight this one back. They'll fight round the outside of Tamburello with each other. You can see there Torres giving it everything, and Jackson has been spun round as a result of that. 2 into 1 just does not go, and neither of them were prepared to give up, and in the end one of them had to go around really, and Jackson, the unlucky of the 2, drops then from 2nd down to last place, and Torres then remains in the lead. I imagine, of course, Jackson won't be too happy with that. I think that's just 2 into 1 not going, but I'm sure they'll see. Leclerc ahead of Warrior for 8th place. We'll see their onboard footage later on. Emilia is pressurising the hat of Dixon. Kidd is sensing an opportunity for a Grand Prix victory as Dixon picks another 3-second time penalty. Not ideal for them. JB Bowie, of course, mentioned to them, they've not got any penalties yet. If they can keep within that 3-second winner of both these cars, that could be Good for them as well. Leclerc now up to 7th place, so on these fresher tyres. Leclerc caving away through the field. And we'll have a look at Leclerc in a moment. This is now Melios on Dixon, finally finding a way through. And Melios then up to 4th place at the moment as Leclerc, for a second time this race, gets ahead of Bajman and up into 6th place. And Scouser as well, making a pass on Warrior Huntsman, I believe, for 9th place. So overtake starting to happen now. Now the field is all bunched up again. Joffrey behind them as well, as is Warrior. And Jackson will have to try and battle their way through, starting with R28 first. C-Kid is keeping within distance. Torres, who spent most of the time dueling away with one of the AlphaTauris, is now going to deal with one of the McLarens behind them as well. Can Kid have a move there? And you can see as well Melius right on the back of Bowie already. R28 picking up another penalty. Be interesting to see who's picked up the most penalties from these lot. Jackson makes their way past R28 as Scouts are ahead of iLink's piece through Ravazza. Good moves from both of them. Now can Melios find a way through? Leclerc sets the fastest lap of this race as they size up Dixon then. This could be another good drive here from Leclerc, but Dixon of course not giving this one up. I tell you what, still finding it through, but Leclerc able to ease their way ahead and up into 5th place then. After having to pit for front wing damage, they're back into the top 5. As Torres is starting to drop Kid then. As well, and Torres going out into the distance with 1.3 seconds out in front. Joffrey getting a 3-second time penalty. Leclerc will now size up Melios. Can Leclerc do what they did last week in Monza, going from the back of the field to win the Grand Prix? Will they do it for a second time? You can see they've got much better traction on the exit of the very empty Alta. I keep getting that confused. And I think they'll be right on the back of Melios down the exit there. Although Melios is having a look on JB Bowie as well. But Melios struggles on the exit of the second Ravazza. And that's all the opportunity Leclerc will need. Leclerc then will blast down the straight. But Melios having, I think, enough straight line speed, possibly helped by the slipstream of Bowie, to remain ahead. And this is where it might start to get difficult for Leclerc to make moves through with these two. See, they've got the good cornering speed, but not the straight line speed to maintain that position. Sadistic ahead of Warrior, and that might be because someone spun. That's Jackson again through Tamburello. Leclerc has got ahead of Melios in that as well. That's through Tosa. But once again, Melios a much better exit. He's got enough straight line speed to stay ahead. I wonder if Leclerc's running more downforce than the McLaren, and that's why they're so slow off the straights. Excuse me. Swinny up to 13th ahead of Warrior Huntsman as well. This is allowing JB Barry to move away with it. Torres has picked up another 3-second penalty. So 6 seconds worth of that now between them, and that would drop them actually. That would drop them down to about 6th place as things stands at the moment. So Torres has got to watch out on these penalties. Of course, other drivers got penalties as well, so bear those in mind. But Torres with 6 seconds worth at the moment. That could be an opportunity for Kid actually. Kid's only got 1 3-second time penalty, and currently 1.8 seconds back. Scouser ahead of Bergman for 7th. As we keep on board then with these two. This looks like a much better exit. Jackson's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but doesn't matter, they've retired, and a huge shame for them. Out of this race then. for AlphaTauri. Warrior up to 10th place. That's a good move there through the Variante Villeneuve. And now Sadistic King. Trying to have a look down the inside of Tosa. Not able to find a move just yet, but Torres then 2.2 seconds out in front. Leclerc pressurising, Melios here. Sadistic up to 11th place now. Not been a great week for the Scottish driver. Down in 11th, although they did get caught up in that incident as well. Leclerc once again closes up to Melios here. Even with the ERS, you can see they're both using it. Leclerc really now is stuck at the moment, which is not ideal for them. Warrior might not be. This is Irlink's piece. Down the inside on the Alfa Romeo, although the Alfa once again, much like we've seen before, sticking it round and still finding a way through, and Irlink's piece goes round. The gap was closing, Irlink's piece still trying to fight it, and Irlink's piece goes straight round then and gets a 5-second penalty for a contact with Swinney, and I think Swinney might have got collected as a result of that. That ends the penalty. Swinney getting caught as well, no front wing as well. And another disaster for the Ferrari driver. It's Monza all over again really for them. And a long way from the pits as well. Leclerc then trying to find a way through the Variante Alta. Yeah, on the exit then of Ravazza comes Leclerc. Not the best exit for them though, but it might be close enough, although Melios is close to JB Bowie. But once again you can see how the McLaren just pulls away down the slipstream. It's not enough though to get ahead of Bowie. Bowie doing a great job at the moment, holding on to that third place, slightly closing up on Kidd as well. And Kidd meanwhile picks up another 3-second time penalty. That will leave Torres a little bit, who's got 6 seconds themselves. But I tell you what though, JB Bowie with no penalties at the moment, and within that 6-second window, as Swinney gets a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane, JB Bowie could be in a position where they could be winning the Grand Prix for a second time if they can remain within 6 seconds of the top two and keep Melios behind as well. But they've got 11 laps to do so. And also hope that Leclerc stays behind as well. They're really giving it everything, these three. Torres is almost lightning gone now. Picked up their pace excessively. 4.7 seconds then between first and third. As this is Leclerc going down the inside. The door was open. And Leclerc, great move there through Ravazza. That's a super move there. And they found an opportunity, they took it, and Leclerc up to 4th place, finally released them to go and chase after JB Bowie. That was a super move there from Leclerc. And enough grip and enough trust to know that Melios wouldn't turn in on them. Good move there, really respect that. And now Leclerc will size up JB Bowie. Bowie's been bravely holding on to that 3rd place. And I think Ferrari could be in trouble. I think Bowie will find this one a bit more difficult. Gap opened up to 5 seconds now. Bowie, if they want a race win here, they've got to keep Leclerc behind. But Leclerc's got a 3-second penalty themselves. Leclerc's doing such a super job. Once again, another great recovery drive. Eyeing up a podium once again. Could they take another Grand Prix victory from the back of the field and continue on their strong form that they've been on really for such a while? It's been great watching Leclerc grow in all the 3 seasons. They lost to Ricky Republic in Season 1. Has dominated Season 2. And so far dominating Season 3. And Leclerc then pressurising the Ferrari. And I tell you what, once again, Bowie is out-dragging the Red Bull down the straight. So Leclerc will have to try and go around the outside here. Do they have a good foot under braking? They do. And Bowie, I think, respectfully gives that up. And Leclerc up into the podium places once again, as Emilios picks up another 3-second time penalty. And Warrior ahead of Bergman as well for 8th place. Bergman doing a great job at the moment, but about to become under pressure from Sadistic King. Now, can Leclerc catch these top two? Kid is 1.5 seconds back, and then 4 seconds to Torres. 9, it'll be nip and tuck, won't it? Not many laps to go. Sadistic ahead of Bergman as well. What pens are everyone on? I can do that. Let me just find out. There's the penalties then for confirmation. I'll talk about them in a second. This is Emilios though. They were passed by Leclerc down Reversa. They've passed Bowie down the exit of Reversa, and Bowie down to 5th place now. I think Bowie is beginning to struggle for pace. Leclerc setting the fastest lap of the race. So there's the penalty. 6 seconds then for the top two. Leclerc and Emilios 3 seconds. Bowie, no penalties for them. R28's got 9 seconds worth. Swinny's got that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, of course. So, bit of handful at the moment, but Bowie, of course, so they can keep consistent at the moment with their lack of penalties. They could move higher up the grid as a result. Bowie, of course, will need to keep up with them. Leclerc then eyeing up the McLaren for 2nd place. There's a chase after the Mercedes in the final few stages of the race. You can see Leclerc having good grip. And this is, remember of course, Leclerc on fresher tyres, 9 lap fresher. How much of an advantage is that giving them? Should drivers have pitted under that safety car for fresh tyres? Possibly. Not 100% sure. Either way, Leclerc looks very comfortable in that Red Bull, and the championship leader now eyes up 2nd place driver. This, I think, is not going to go well. Leclerc fastest lap as well, but once again, much like the previous McLaren, Leclerc cannot out-drag Kid into the Variante Tamburello here. And this is the danger. I think Leclerc is struggling down the back straights compared to certainly the McLarens, and I think actually all the cars at the moment. JB Bowie is being slightly dropped from these drivers. Needs to stay with them if they want to retain a podium, but I think they are beginning to struggle now for grip. But keep an eye on that Ferrari. Leclerc then right on the back then of Kid. Has a little bit of an oversteer moment. I might lose him a little bit of time. Kid struggling slightly. This is good for McLaren at the moment, 2nd and 4th. In terms of their fight in the Constructors' Championship. And now for the exit of Revalsa, this will be easier. That's someone going into pits. That's Eiling's Peace, who's a back marker and retires from this race after contact earlier. Here comes Leclerc, but once again, Kid having enough straight line speed to stay ahead of this Red Bull. Frustrating then for Leclerc. But off the exit of Tamburello, is Leclerc going to find a way through here? And I think backs out. Kid did give the space actually, but he does that. Leclerc just saves the car there. Good save from the Red Bull. That could have ended tears for them. But Leclerc then, once again, trying to find a way through, but just can't find the momentum now. Leclerc, now that's interesting. Leclerc, another 3-second time penalty. That's going to hurt them. Now, let's go back on those penalties again. Leclerc, 6 seconds. That could that'll bring a glimmer of an eye to JB Bowie, actually. Bowie, of course, is still within 3 seconds of Melios. So if those two take penalties, and Bowie is where we are, Bowie's on the podium. So keep your eye on that. That certainly made things a lot more interesting. Leclerc could find that to be a cost later on. And Leclerc close enough again. Is Leclerc able to find a way past this McLaren? And again, just the straight line speed of this McLaren is, I think, a little too much for this Red Bull. And all the while, Leclerc will lose time behind the McLaren as a result. That really does bring JB Bowie back into play. As does Melios as well. Melios, you can see there, is within that 3-second window. Melios stays there, knocks Leclerc off the podium, down the inside. Tries the Red Bull to have a look. Once again, gives the space, but Leclerc finds a way through Tosa. That's a super move then from Leclerc up to second place then. He found a way through, realised going down the back straight wasn't the way through. Leclerc found a way through Tosa, and up into second place goes the Red Bull. And will they be able to catch Torres with 5 laps to go? There you can see the Mercedes going through the Variante Alta. Can Leclerc catch them? They both have 6 seconds worth of penalties. In fact, all of the top 3 do. But can Leclerc catch for a race win? For a second consecutive race then. Joffrey then, having a look at Bajman for the top 10. See, Scouts is also having a look on Dixon as well. This is for 6th place. Leclerc, another fastest lap then. Torres will Leclerc run out of laps potentially? That's something they've got to consider as well. Scouser then has run out of ERS, as you can see. Dixon's just got a little bit more in the tank. That's enabling Dixon to remain ahead. See that these two are using ERS as well, but you can see Joffrey closing in very quickly, but not able to make a move just yet. Both, of course, Mercedes powered. And Joffrey looking to get into the top 10 ahead of the Williams. Edgeman's doing a really solid job, must be said, for them. If we look at the R28, it's got a penalty. Let's go look at the gap here. So JB Bowie has no penalties. 1, 2, 3 have got 6 seconds. Melios is just within range of their teammate, actually. That might be an interesting one. Bajman gets a 3-second penalty. Bowie also having a penalty as well. Sorry, no penalties for them. So at the moment, they're not really going to be able to capitalise on those at the moment. So Bowie's got to find a bit more pace. Dixon's got another 3-second penalty as well. Bowie will be hoping for a bit more pace. This one looks a much closer battle, I think. These two not within a battle yet. Here's Joffrey and Bajman. This looks fairly straightforward. You can see the closing speed of this Aston Martin. And Bajman, that's a very cheeky move there. Switches from the left to the right. And Joffrey up into the top 10. I like that move. That was very good, but very close to tears though. If Bajman did not move there, but good move there from the Aston Martin. He's had a pretty chaotic race. And they're back where they qualified in 10th place. Meanwhile, that gap out in front, 3.4 seconds, it's dropping down to, I think Leclerc might run out of laps, unfortunately. Torres has got to hope they don't pick up another penalty. If they pick up another 3-second time penalty, that could be problematic for them if Leclerc catches them the way they do. Scouse has picked up one as well. And Leclerc another fastest lap, so they'll pick up a point for that as well. Next, of course, with those 9 seconds worth of penalties versus Scouser's 6. Means Scouse will be ahead of Dixon regardless, as we are on the penultimate lap then. Leclerc down to 2.7 seconds. And Scouse are unable to find a way through. They've burnt through their ERS. They can't go through there. Leclerc closing in the Mercedes, who has led every lap at the moment. Got involved in contact with Jackson. Whether or not anything will happen after that, we'll see. Scouser has moved ahead of Dixon as well. That's through Tosa. That seems to be a very popular overtaking move this evening. Either way, up to 6th place then. And I tell you what, Bowie is nip and tuck within a 3-second window of Melios here. Melios could lose 4th here. Let's keep an eye on that. Leclerc down to 2.1 seconds. These are very nervy times then for Mercedes, who haven't had a really good season so far, but Torres could deliver for them. As Leclerc fastest lap of the race. We are on the final lap then. The gap 2 seconds then. And I'll tell you what, if Torres picks up another 3-second penalty, that will hand the victory over to Leclerc. So these have got to be perfect laps then from the Mercedes driver. Mercedes will be super nervous on this one. They just need Torres to bring it home. And as it stands at the moment, Mercedes are on course for a victory. Leclerc's run of victories in the past will come to an end. I'm trying to remember how many victories Leclerc has actually had. He won, of course, in Monza. Didn't win in Monza. Actually, wasn't even in that race, I believe. But so far, this is looking very good for Torres then. As someone said a spin, that's Melios. Melios is gone. Oh, what a shame on the final lap as well. Melios, who had such a good drive, over and out for them. Bowie could be within a podium range of Kidd as well, with that 6-second penalties for them. We'll keep an eye on that battle as well. But Torres then has done just about enough then to hold on. And for Mercedes, this is what they need. For the first time this season, Mercedes win a Grand Prix and Torres takes the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Leclerc from 15th to 2nd. We await to see who will be on the podium. Will it be Kidd or will it be JB Bowie? It's nip and tuck between these two, and it's just Kidd ahead. Bowie misses on the podium by just over 1/10 of a second. That'll feel awful for them, as Scouser holds off Dixon for 5th and 6th place. Sadistic will cross the line to take 5th place because of penalties. Warrior will cross the line in 8th ahead of Joffrey. Ashman will actually finish in the top 10 as a result of Melios' crash. That's such a shame for them. My heart feels for them. Warrior in 11th, R28 in 12th, and Swinney will cross the line in 13th place. But Torres then, good run from them. They led every lap of this Grand Prix. Will there be any inquiries between themselves and Jackson post-race? We'll see. Either way though, Torres will celebrate the victory. Leclerc, that's a good run from them. They do actually extend their championship lead as a result as well. And Kidd takes the podium by a very slim margin, it must be said. And Jackson's retirement will further extend Leclerc's lead actually, so happy day for them. So, good result then from Torres. He takes the victory. Mercedes back on good form. And Leclerc's fastest lap was actually quicker than their pole lap, than the pole time. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, fair play. Well done to Jack Barry as well for 4th place, and Frl Williams as well for that podium as well. Close between those two. So here's the run then. Torres wins the race from Leclerc with the fastest lap as well. Kidd in third place. JB Bowie, one of the few who actually didn't pick up a time penalty. Only one of 3 drivers as well. Sadistic. Scouser in 6th, Dixon 7th, Warrior in 8th, Joffrey in 9th, Bajman in 10th place, ahead of Huntsman at R28, and Swinny the final of the runners. Melios, Eiling's piece. Melios actually did qualify as a runner because they, of course, completed most of the race. Eiling's piece and Frl Jackson are the 2 DNFs then. And that is it then. Leclerc pole was 23.18 and Leclerc did a 23 flat. Well, there you go then. Even better. I'm not sure if you get additional points for that, but that was a good run then. But that is it then for us. Thank you all so much for watching. Congratulations, of course, to Torres, Leclerc and Kidd, your 3 podium finishers. We'll be back, I think, next week. Where are we at? In Singapore for round 1, 2, 3, 4. It's round 6 then of this season. Plenty more racing still to go. Leclerc, though, having a very commanding lead out in front. And it's a question of can anyone stop Leclerc from a 2nd consecutive championship. Thank you all so much for watching. I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.